Hello.
and welcome.
Welcome back.
Dude, last week we said hello at the same time, but we like harmonized. But I had to cut
Why?
it. Because then we said hello again.
Oh. Let's not do that.
Yes. So, welcome to week 2 of rants, I think we can call it.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. This is called Capitalism Sucks. Let's burn the patriarchy.
Okay, so we literally just spoke for like an hour and a half. We're doing the intro now at the end of the video, so
Yes.
we're just gonna cut to it. We were like literally ranting to each other, and then we were like, you know what? Let's record it.
It was an organic conversation we were having before we were supposed to have the podcast, and we just started recording because we were already on a roll.
Yeah. So if it's a bit abrupt at the beginning, sorry for that.
Sorry. And also, now you know like how it is actually when we just speak to each other, because
Yeah.
like this was not a planned topic or like
No notes today.
nothing in the book.
No notes. That's
It
how
was
you know.
just us speaking our true hearts. And I'm sorry because I know that I get like deep and negative at parts. The rule 1, don't cry on the internet, but but here we are.
Here we are. So we hope you enjoy it.
And good luck. This guy, I've known him like for so long, and ever since I've known him, like he's been dedicated to it, and he's so fucking smart. Like he
medicine.
is, yeah, and he's so clever, dude. Like he's actually just like a genius person. Like he's
Yeah.
phenomenal, and now he's doing it, and he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. He's like, it's the first time in my life that I've ever spoken to him that he's like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah. That's my thing, dude. That's exactly what this other girl said to me.
And the thing is, like, I speak to other people who are, like, working with me and stuff. And it just feels to me that, like, everyone is just exhausted. Like, everyone is just fucking tired. And nobody can do this. Like, everyone I speak to, they're like, if you actually speak to them alone, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I wake up and I can't fucking breathe because everything is just so heavy. I'm like, why are we doing this?
And it's so weird, dude. You know why? Because I feel like before COVID, everything that we would have been doing now would have been fine.
Yeah, I guess.
But like ever since the lockdown and whatever, and like when everything just became so slow, and now we're expected to go back to like that fast-paced life, it's not working. But we don't know any other way
of doing things.
of doing things and working in society. So what the fuck else must we do?
But I don't know, dude, because I feel like I can't compare my pre-COVID to post-COVID, because I feel like being a student is like very different from living just like this.
Life,
because
we've never had this experience.
No, because when you're a student, you have a goal. You're working to graduate.
Yeah.
There are things that you have to do. You have to do this and this and this subject, and you could do there are things that you have to do. And like when I know I have to do something, I'm good. But it's the second I get to thinking about like, oh, okay, this is actually my life.
Yeah.
Like this is it. This is the life that I've worked all the shit for. I graduated high school. I graduated from 2 degrees for this. And now what am I doing?
Yeah, no.
That's the point where I'm like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
everything that I want to do or like think about doing, even the things that I'm passionate about, I'm like, I'm passionate about them without the expectation of living off of them.
When you actually think of the day-to-day of working in that job, it's like...
Or like the fact that that thing is going to have to be the thing that I make a living out of. Like if I could just do it and have fun with it, yes. But if it's like the thing that I need to like...
Now you need to
live off of.
perform and like there's people watching you and seeing how good you did at your job and all of that shit, and like...
And like there's like expectations of like it's like art. Like if you're painting a picture just to paint the picture, it's so much fun and you enjoy it. And the minute you're like, I'm painting this picture for someone else to hang up in their house, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
This line is
it
fucked up. And
must be done by the 20th of April.
exactly. Like
then
everything
it's
is just
over.
fucked up and doesn't look right and it doesn't feel right.
But then
And then you don't want to sit there and do it anymore.
Yeah, but then how do we transition from that, from where we are now into... Wait, what was my thing? Like how? Because, okay, there are people, it can happen, right? That you're working your dream job and it's still good. Like,
Yeah.
it's not fucked.
I'm sure.
But I feel like those people have worked their way up to get there. to the point where they've made a name for themselves and they don't have to keep proving themselves all the time.
Yeah, but like even in that, I'm like, that's why I'm saying I hate talking about this, because I hate sounding like I'm just being a negative, like depressed person, because that's how it comes across.
It's being
but
realistic.
Like we live in a third world country where this is the statistic that shocked me to my core. The richest 1% in our country make 40,000 rand a month.
Yeah, I heard that.
40,000 rand a month. What the fuck do you do with 40,000 rand a month realistically? Like, if you have an entire family and like shit to take care of, like realistically, what the fuck do you do?
You're left with like maybe 10k.
So then if you have to be, just to make 40k, you have to be like the fucking best of the best. You have to figure something out where you're like, here, the magnificent whatever. And then you're still making 40k. We're not in a country where we can just like by some stroke of luck do something and we'll be set. Like, it just doesn't work that way here.
It doesn't work that way.
Even the people who are like doing so well and are like our age and really rich and whatever, like they've either been set up through like their families or whatever, or they've had like some scammy stroke of luck through fucking Forex or something, and it's a one-time thing. Like, that's it.
This is why, so the other day when I went into that spiral, so let me just catch up. The other day I went through a spiral and I was like, I woke up and I was like, today I'm gonna be a dermatologist. That's my life. Then I went down the rabbit hole, whatever, cool. End of that day, I was like, I actually don't think I want to do this. But I have like this feeling of I need to start
doing something,
setting myself up for the next stages of my life. Like, am I going to study further?
What am I doing? What's the plan?
Where am I going? Like, am I going to do... Then I was like, maybe I want to do interior design. And I don't know. So now I'm going through this whole rabbit hole. Was I not Googling at 3 a.m. like, immigration to Scotland? And I'm like talking to Amit. I'm like, let's move.
But that's how I feel, dude. Because
and I don't want to be one of those people that's like, fuck South Africa, I'm leaving. But
what are we doing?
What are we doing? Literally, what are we doing?
Just nothing feels okay. And like, but my thing is this, right? Now I immigrate. Because I've also been thinking about this, and I'm like, my brother wants to go, I might as well go. If I go to Canada, I'm closer to my cousin, which, I mean, realistically, I don't want to decide your life for you, but realistically, you're going to stay in America. Like, you're married, that's the way it is. So, like, if I want to see you on, like, somewhat regular basis, like, I'm going to have to go closer to you. Like, South Africa to America is not a yearly fucking thing. Like, it's not going to work. So, what am I going to do? So, like, then I think about it. I'm like, okay, great. So, I go there. Realistically, I hate the fucking cold. I get depressed as fuck.
You can't live in Canada.
I get depressed as fuck. Like, literally, I cannot get myself out of seasonal depression when it's cold. So I'm going to be anyway miserable. Plus, I'm going to have to do something there anyway. I'm going to have to do some kind of 9 to 5, some job there anyway. Which, if I'm saying now, in the warm, whatever, sunny South Africa that I'm used to and that I'm comfortable in, that I don't think a 9 to 5 is a sustainable job. I don't understand how you're supposed to be a human being with a life and a stable, like, mental condition and work a 9 to 5. How am I going to do it in Canada? I'm not.
You're not. It's going to be the same cycle over and over.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand, like, okay, I'm just spiraling and, like, probably I'm going to wake up tomorrow and breathe and be fine and whatever, just continue doing this. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this is the truth. I don't understand how we're meant to live in a country where youth unemployment rates are 70%. There's no plan of fixing it. Nobody even knows what the country is going to look like in 10 years. There's no even concept of, oh, okay, we should probably start like doing something because the shit is going wrong. And there's no one going, oh, okay, capitalism in our country is, first of all, a lie, because our country isn't even capitalist. It just pretends to be. And second of all, how are we going to sustain future generations? How are we going to sustain people? How many people do you know that are 24 and have retirement plans that aren't working for the government or close to the government?
Literally no one. Dude, and that's the other thing that I was thinking of. Like, cool, that's the plan for everyone, right? So you study and you get a 9 to 5 and you're set up for life, you're good, right? That's supposed to be the dream or whatever.
The ideal.
But now half of the people I know, not even half, I don't know one person that is working somewhere, be it for a company, for a whatever, and has a retirement thing, like a UIF or whatever it's called. Hello? Or even get medical aid through their work.
Yeah, like, what do you do? People, that's what I'm saying, like,
I'm so confused by that. Like,
I'm saying, like, okay, we know that we're like, the job that we're doing right now isn't the one, right? But even if we pick something that seems more sustainable or whatever it is, I can't think of a person who's doing a job right now. I think of everyone that I know, and I think everyone's working fucking hard. Everyone's working themselves literally to death. And I can't think of one of those people who can actually afford to just be alive.
yo, that is the truth, dude. That is the truth. How are we working so fucking hard? Literally every day of the month, getting paid, whatever. And then halfway through the month, you're like,
No, man.
just waiting for payday.
And like, that's not even like, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's not, okay, that's, never mind medical aid, never mind paying for a car because you need to drive to work because our public fucking transport systems don't work. Never mind medical aid because our government hospitals don't work. Never mind, whatever. Then on top of all of that still, you got to think about like living, like doing things that are actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
Where are you going to find money to like
getting
do
groceries and stuff? Like actually going out enjoying life with your friends.
Because people are like killing themselves to pay rent, maybe pay a car, try and afford medical aid, and buy groceries. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not like doing things. And I'm not talking about grabbing one coffee with a friend. That's not doing something. That is not living a life to me. I don't see that as me like, wow, like I'm really out here like doing everything. Like what the
Getting
fuck?
a coffee. No.
Like the coffee is great, but like when am I gonna do things that I actually exactly
go on hikes and like
do stuff.
Whatever. Dude,
And then the thing is like, never mind. Okay, now by some fucking miracle, some grace of God, you save the money to go do the thing that you want to do, whatever. You're just exhausted the whole time. You're just so tired.
Then you come back home, you need to work again
from
your vacation.
Yeah, and now you need to start working again so that you can pay the rent again.
Yeah.
So that
and you're tired
you hope that you can put away fucking 500 rand so you can do. I just think like, how the fuck is this sustainable? And like, I know it's such a cliche thing to like, oh well, the cycle is that you're like paying to go to school, to get a job, to pay for your kids to go to school, whatever. I understand there's been the cycle for like thousands of years, whatever. Everybody mentions it's cliche, but I don't know how people do it. I actually don't understand how people do it. Like, I don't think that I can actually physically get myself to do it. Like, even if I force myself, I don't know if I can do it for 5 years.
But it doesn't make sense. That's the thing. And like, that's where the like toxic shit of like side hustles and hustle culture comes in. Because now you're working your full-time job. You're still like struggling to just live. Now you're like, okay, but I'm not hustling hard enough. Like,
yeah, now it's like you must feel guilty because if you can't afford stuff, it's your fault.
But it's the way that
the system is set up, fucked up, broken, and you can't afford stuff because the system isn't meant for you to live.
It's literally not. And it's not our fault. And like, how do we break the cycle and get out of it? That's the question.
And everybody's like, well, you know, the future was like starting a business. Have you tried to start a business in South Africa? Like an actually viable business?
Just in life, not even in South Africa, dude. Like, I feel like people make it sound so easy and like, I have 10 million business ideas. I can start a business every day. Okay, but can you actually see it through till the fucking end till where it's sustainable
do you know
and
how,
it's working
like,
for you?
difficult it is, the systems, the things that you have to do to just get to the point where you can have a business in South Africa. Then that's not even sustaining the business. My boss is making so much fucking money. And he can't even be the sole owner of the space. Yeah. How does that make sense?
I have seen my thing with like businesses and stuff. Like, I'm all for people starting their businesses. Go like do your thing. Amazing. But I've seen so many people, like family, friends, that have had their small businesses and then they just crash.
Yeah,
and
they
then
just fail.
They end up like actually wasting their money.
Yeah, and their time.
So, like, how do you get to a point where you know you can start your business and it's actually going to be successful and sustainable for you? Like,
The thing is also like, and it's not like these people have bad ideas. It's just, if you think about it, like, you can't afford shit. How do you expect consumers to buy stuff from you in South Africa, especially? Because in America, you know that people have, like, it's the ideal, like, experience of, like, America, whatever. But, like, yes, it's true. They're more consumer based there than than people are here.
America is insane to me. There's a YouTuber that I'm obsessed with. Her name's Chloe Yasmin. I love her videos. But honestly, sometimes I need to take a break from watching her shit because she does, like, shopping with me videos twice a week. Like, shopping with me at Target, shopping with me at Walmart, no budget shopping at where. I'm like, girl, how? You just bought soap 5 days ago. How can you buy 5 bags of soap again? I don't understand.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, South Africa, like, we're a culture who's, I guess we're more sustainable, however you want. Like, you can say that that's not the truth, but we're more sustainable in the sense that fast fashion isn't just fast fashion to us. You don't buy a shirt and wear it once and throw it away. You buy the shirt and you wear it until it has a hole in it, and then you wear it to sleep. Like, whatever. People think about what they buy and what they consume generally. So, like, we don't have, like, the ideology of the people isn't to just consume stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna start a small business, even if you have a great idea, whatever, people don't just have hundreds of rands to throw away.
No. And that's the thing, a lot of people, what I've noticed is with things like small businesses, like, let's say, for example, you're doing your nails. Most of the people, there's rarely people that go do their nails every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, most of the people I know get their nails done once every 6 months, let's say.
Yeah. Or they do it themselves.
And
if they get their nails done, they make it stretch. Whereas, like, well, obviously this is, like, idealized, like, vloggers. But, like, Americans are like, wow, my nails have been here for a week, but I really want a new design. So they're going to go get it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in South Africa, that's just not the case.
That's not possible.
Yeah,
for
that's just
a lot
not
of
the
people.
case.
It's not at all.
We
Unless
have
you're
we have a major workers class population of people who are working incredibly hard to afford less than the bare minimum. That we don't have a large population of people who are just throwing money away. And yes, there are people who are just rich and can just throw away their money. And if you can target them specifically in your small business, great, good for you. But, like, that's not the reality of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Everyone that I've studied, or, like, not studied with in my degree, studied with in, like, the university, people were so, like, enthusiastic about their careers and stuff until they started working, and everyone's just not okay. Like,
yeah,
everyone that I speak to or, like, catch up with, I'm like, how are you doing? How's your life? And they're like, well, I'm in articles, or I'm in my apprenticeship, or I'm in whatever, and I hate it.
And that's the thing, like, it's so strange going from a space where I feel like in university, whoever you meet, most of the people are so passionate about what they're studying about. And it's like the honeymoon stage. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm learning all these things and it's so amazing and everything is so romanticized. Then you actually get into your industry and you're like,
what is this?
What is this? This is what I wanted to talk about specifically our industry. Because, guys, what the fuck? Like, no, this is not.
What is going on?
First of all, my biggest problem. As an actor, presenter, whatever, all right, performer, how can you send me a brief at 11 o'clock at night and tell me to send it in 7 o'clock tomorrow morning? Then I don't do it. Now you're upset with me as the casting director or whatever, or agent. Then you don't send me. Now you don't send me a brief for the next 6 months.
But, like, do you expect me to just sit and wait for you to send me auditions every day and not sustain myself in any way whatsoever?
Like, I have other
people
things
have
to
jobs.
Do. And not even that. Like, now let's say, okay, you've landed a job working on a set. Cool. Even then, they send you the call sheet the night before.
Yeah.
And call times are usually 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
But now you're, like, my thing is this, right? How is it sustainable in, like, our country to do this? Because if now I have a job because I need to sustain myself in some way, right? It's most probably a minimum wage job because you've studied for something that you can't work in, realistically. Okay? So now you're working a minimum wage job, which is taking you fucking 10 hours of your day to do and is exhausting. Then you get an audition, somehow you get to send that audition and you get the role. Now it's a 3-week shoot in Cape Town, wherever.
How are you going to take off work?
Somehow you do it. You go, you do the thing. I don't know how. You get off of work, you go there, you shoot the thing. First of all, the payment is fucked because how's that going to work? How are you paying your bills? Okay, great. You get paid. Somehow everything works out. Now you come back.
Yeah.
And you're going back to your minimum wage job.
Unless it's a huge movie or like a TV show where you do promos for it and stuff.
I don't even think that you can have like...
It's over.
You can get like a TV role in South Africa that is sustainable unless it's like your permanent job. Like unless you get a soapy. Otherwise, the only thing that I think is like big enough to like say, okay, you can take a month off of your minimum wage job is if you get an international advert, which is, how are you getting an international advert? There are literally millions of South Africans applying, hoping and praying that they get the one role where they can actually do something.
And those ads are once in a blue moon that they come. It's not all the time. And the pay is really good. But I mean, literally, what are the chances? It's you and every other single actor in every other single agency in South Africa.
And I know, like, I used to look at people who say stuff that I'm like we're saying now and be like, oh, they're so negative. Like, you'll get it. It'll work. Like, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Like, I don't know how you don't get it until you get it. And when you get it, it's too late. Like, I don't know what to say to you. I don't want to be the person who's just negative and says, like, don't study, whatever. Like, you're going to study. You're going to do something with your life. You're going to do it. And whether it's acting or not acting, whether it's medicine or accounting or whatever you think is going to be amazing and beautiful for you, at some point you're going to discover the dream isn't what you were sold.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that you're going to discover that. Because you did nothing to deserve it. It's just the way it is.
But there's no other way. Like, it's just the way the world has been set up.
And, like, the thing is, even the privileged people I know, even the people whose dads have companies or whose parents are rich and buy them everything they need or whatever, even those people, I don't see how their lives are sustainable.
No, dude. And even, like, and that's exactly what you said. It happens in every sector, everywhere. Like,
every industry.
I have a friend who just graduated. Shame. We had a whole discussion the other day and I was like, oh, congrats, like, on your graduation, how are you feeling? And he was like,
this isn't what I thought.
This sucks. And I'm like, I know. He's like, I'm graduated, like, cool, I have my degree, but I'm applying everywhere that I'm applying for wants 10 years of experience or they want whatever. So he's at that stage and I'm like, listen, I get you. Like, we went through that for a fucking year or however
I think the
long.
point where, like, I really realized something is wrong is Marius came the other day and he told me that they have this new guy working at their school. And I was like, that's cool. What's his story? He's like, I actually can't believe this shit. This guy studied nuclear science. And he cannot find a job and he's now a teacher because the Chinese were coming to South Africa to create nuclear power plants and that was going to create all these jobs and then the government fucked it and now he's a nuclear scientist who can fucking work to create nuclear power in our country and he's teaching.
And he's teaching grade 10 physics. Nice.
How do you want a group, like a generation of people who are aspirational when this is the truth? And I feel horrible. I feel so sad for anybody who's like in school or in university right now because like you deserve to be excited about what you're going to do. So I don't want to sit here and say like don't be. But like I also, you're going to get out there and feel alone. Because that's what I did. I got out here and I felt fucking alone because I thought, why is it happening to me? Not like, why is everyone else fine and I'm not? And now a year later, I'm like, actually, no one's fine. No one's good.
The thing is, it's the whole lie of like, if you go to school, you get the best marks. Now you're in the best university. You're at the top of your class. You're doing so well. Your lecturers are promising you like, oh my gosh, you're doing so good. Like you're so ready to
You're
go
a top student.
You're going into the industry so well prepared. I'm so proud of you. Amazing. Keep at it. Cool. Everything is like you build up to this high.
You get here and
you get out there. Now you don't, first of all, this is what shocked me. You get out there. Now you're in the industry, but you don't know anyone. You know people that you studied with. You know your lecturers. Half the time, your lecturers mean shit in the industry.
Yeah,
like they're like...
Or even if they mean everything in the industry, they're one person. Like,
they're one person. And
they can't run an industry.
And they know 100 million other people. Like, you're not going to text them and be like, hi, get me a job, then tomorrow you're working. Like,
no.
It's not going to...
They also don't have that power because the industry is struggling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so, like, horrible to sit here and be this person because I used to be the student who's like, I hated people who were just like negative and whatever. And now I'm here and I'm like, I don't understand how you're supposed to be anything but this. I don't get how every person isn't angry. Because I'm angry.
This is my other thing. I was having a conversation with my family and then we were just talking about like jobs and like the corporate world and whatever. And then I was like, yeah, well, like, I don't know where I'm going to go, whatever. Or I don't know what we were talking about. And then like my sister was like, yeah, because, you know, one day you want to be a supervisor. I'm like,
no,
I don't want to be a supervisor. She's like, no, not now, but like one day. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. She's like,
what do you mean?
Then where are you going to go? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm not going to be in a managerial position. Like, I don't want to do that. Now she's confused. Yeah. She's like, but what's going to happen? Then I'm like, well, I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that generation of people, like your sisters and my brother's generation, like, they like 30, like, they were taught, like, that's the ultimate dream and whatever, and they believe that they bought into it and that's great. But, like, I just can't do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, is there something wrong with me specifically? Is it our generation? Like, what is the problem? But, like, I can't look at anything and think, I really want to do this for, like, 20 years. And, like, the only time I can do that is when I romanticize it. If I'm like, I'm going to do it for 20 years and I'm just going to do whatever. If I think about, like, actually doing the job and, like...
For 20 years.
Every day waking up and going to do this job and dealing with, like, the paperwork and... I
stab my eyes out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like I just want to... If I could just rip my atoms apart and dematerialize and not exist, instead of doing that, I would. Which sounds fucked up. I get it. But, like, that's what I want to do.
And we've had this conversation. And I told you this was, like, the best advice I've ever gotten from anyone. When I was looking into studying drama, where am I going to study? What am I going to do with that? Whatever. I spoke to a lot of people. And I spoke to someone that had studied drama at 6. And she was like, but you can study drama and then that's fine. And then you're allowed to change your careers, right? Which is good advice. Like, you are allowed to change and you can. If you don't enjoy this anymore, go do whatever. But then are we always going to be stuck in
the new position,
the entry level of everything?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I've never wanted to do just one thing. There was never a point in my life where I was like, okay, I'm going to go study drama and that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, I always knew I had, like, other things I wanted to pursue. But what I'm saying is, like, how do you even realistically do that when you're just trying to afford rent and food and your car?
Because now the other thing, like, let's say now we decide, okay, we're going to change careers. We still need to go study further, do a course, do whatever.
Find a job in that industry.
Now, where is that going to come from? Are we going to be unemployed again for a year after we've studied whatever else we want to study? Like, it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I feel... It almost feels like blasphemy, like, saying it. Like, I don't want to speak about it. I don't want to tell people, like, oh, I'm feeling this way. Because I'm like, first of all, I'm like... I don't want to talk to people about how I feel because everyone is so fucking exhausted. I can see how exhausted everyone around me is all the time. And everyone's dealing with the same struggle. Everyone feels like they can't breathe about it. So why am I going to go sit there now and tell you, like, so, like, don't you feel like you can't breathe because you don't know what to do? Like,
but we need to talk about it because how else are we going to find a solution? Because I can't... picture us in 10 years' time still having this debate. We can't live like this, honestly.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you like continue. I don't know what is the future. Like everyone's like, so what's your 5-year plan? How do you have a tomorrow plan, a next week plan? How do you conceptualize a 5-year plan when you can't even see yourself doing what you're doing right now for the next week?
That was my thing. Literally, I stepped into my new job. They're like, where do you want to go from here? I just got here. What do you mean? I haven't experienced this job yet. I haven't worked with you people. I don't even know where people that have worked here before have moved on to. Like, I don't know the possibilities. How can you be asking me that?
And I find it so sad how like the honeymoon phase for jobs just doesn't last. Like it just doesn't last. Like you get a job and you're so excited to go and do the job and you do it for a week. And there's just no excitement in it anymore.
A week, dude. Is it our generation? Are we the problem? Like, did TikTok kill our brain? Because
But then people say like our generation doesn't want to work, and I think that's such a fucking lie. Like, to be honest, I really think it's a lie, because I look at the people around me and they're working. They're working hard. And I don't know how you wouldn't be demotivated if you're working that hard and you have nothing to show for it.
I don't think we don't want to work. Like, I feel like our generation doesn't not enjoy working, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we just want it to be fair.
Yeah.
And to be sustainable.
We just want to work and have something to show for it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get how people can say our generation doesn't want to work. Like, I don't know what kind of people you have in your life, but everyone I have in my life are working incredibly hard. Like, people are working way past normal working hours.
And what they're supposed to do.
They're doing so much. And like,
that's the other thing that irritates me so much. Like, yes, you've started a new job, you're young, whatever, cool, you need to, whatever, prove yourself, cool, nice. Why does that now mean I have to do
my job and everyone else's?
My job, everyone else's job. I have to work as if I'm a full-time worker when I'm just a freelancer.
And everything has to be perfect. And then that's not even me doing like anything extra. That's just doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's doing what's expected of me. Like, in a work environment, doing what's on your contract, plus on everyone else's contract, plus staying on top of everyone else's schedules is the bare minimum. Like, less than the bare minimum.
Yeah. Dude, do you know how many times a job or like an employee has said like, yeah, but just come in for extra hours. Even if you don't get paid for them, it will show us that you're committed.
Why do I have to show you that I'm committed? I signed a contract with you.
I'm already here 10 minutes before my shift. I do everything perfectly that you asked me to. Whatever. Cool. Why must
I'm working the maximum amount that I can work.
Now you want me to come in for extra hours and you're not going to pay me for them.
So in hours that I'm supposed to sleep and eat and bond with the people, the minuscule amount of hours that I actually have to live my life, I have to offer up to come here and not get paid.
And not just that, I literally cannot afford to drive to work one more day for extra hours that you're not going to pay me for.
Yeah, so, that you're not going to pay me for.
It's not going to happen. Like, I'm sorry. If you want me to do that, then make me a full-time worker and increase my pay.
Yeah, but then if you're a full-time worker, like, what's that going to mean? Because now you work Monday to Friday and they're like, well, come in for the Saturday because that's going to show us that you're committed.
No.
Like, are you insane?
Are you fucked in the head?
And then there are all these, like, promises of, like, first world countries doing, like, 4-day work weeks and whatever. First of all, I don't see that being implemented in South Africa. I just don't. We don't even have 4-day work weeks. We don't have 5-day work weeks. We have 6 days and more work weeks. People who are working 5 days a week are sitting at home on the 6th day doing their job. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know anyone who has an office job or like a 5-day week job that are only working 5 days a week or only working in work hours. Like, everyone is working nights and an extra day or 2 at least.
Or even on holiday.
Everyone I know works. Like, if they have a holiday, they're working. If they have a night off, they're working. If they have a weekend, they're working. Like, everyone.
It's so unhealthy, dude.
So now, how are we? We're already basically 24/7 working in this country. How is it? How are we going to implement a 4-day work week? We're just not. Don't tell me that an employer is going to approve that. They're not. They're not. And worse than that, like, it's in our contracts and it's legal to be in our contracts that, like, if your employer can require you to work, like, extra hours and not pay you for them, and just repay you with like time off, which never happens. Like that's another thing. In this country, we know, we already, it's like, it's ingrained in us to just expect that the things that we're gonna get, we're not gonna get. Like part of contracts, we just know like that's never gonna happen. So like even if your contract says, if you work an extra day, you're gonna get an extra hour off, we know that's never gonna happen. We know it's not gonna happen.
Such a lie, dude. I've never seen that in a contract, but I know it doesn't
I
work.
can send you my contract.
Big lies.
And it says if you work 6 hours, you get half an hour off. How does that make sense anyways?
Half an hour is nothing.
And it never happens. Never, you don't get it off. So like, what is going on?
Like, compensate me in other ways.
The system is broken, dude. The system doesn't work.
It is broken.
And like, then what, like even employers, like they know, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to take them to labor court. What, like, what's going to happen? There's 100,000 people suing their employers every day. Maybe 3 of them are successful. What are you going to do? Employers don't care because there's no consequences because our country is a failed system. And they know that, like, if you're going to quit your job, there's 2,000 other people who've been waiting 2 years to get a job. Yeah. They're going to come fill your position. And yes, they're going to be just as fucking unhappy as you are. But they've also been waiting 2 years, so they're going to do the job. And then when they quit in 2 months, there's 2,000 more.
This is what we were also talking about the other day when you were like, why are companies overworking the 5 workers that they have? Just hire more people. You're already paying them fucked. Like, what is it going to matter to you to, like, just hire more people so that everyone can have less stress on them?
Because they're overworking, they have the smallest amount of people that they can possibly have, and they're overworking those people to the core. And then when those people actually fall over and fucking die, they're like, okay, we'll hire 1 more. Worse than that, there are 5 people, 1 leaves, they're like, okay, we'll just divide the work between the other 4.
Yeah.
Another thing is, like, today, someone said that this particular girl, I'm not going to say who she is, but she's been working incredibly hard. Very hard. And I'm not saying everyone else isn't, because everyone else is. But she's been strained. And now she got booked off by a doctor. And to send her doctor's note, she starts her message by saying, I am so sorry to management, but I've been booked off. Because they make you feel so guilty that you're sick. How dare you now be sick and leave? Are you insane?
No.
What kind of system are we in that you don't get to be unhealthy by working yourself into being unhealthy?
Yeah.
What is not clicking?
That's my thing also. Like, I always ask, like, I'll either ask Jess or Amit or someone to help me, like, write an email or a message or whatever, right? I always get someone to read it. Whenever I ask Amit, he always types it, and then it's always like, hi, apologies for this, sorry for that. And I always tell him, stop it. Apologizing, especially to your employer. Stop it. If you didn't do anything wrong, if it's about you taking time off, if you're asking for something, if you're whatever, there's no need for you to apologize, because that's giving them even more power than they already have.
Yeah, because you already feel bad. You already feel guilty for things that you shouldn't be feeling guilty for. You shouldn't be feeling bad for. Now you're there. I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm apologizing. I'm sorry. Yeah. They just use that to make you feel worse. Like, they don't actually care. And, like, I know that's such a horrible thing to say, because maybe your boss is a nice person, maybe whatever. They can be a nice person and be a horrible employer. Like, that's just how it goes. And realistically, you don't need to be apologizing for things that are out of your control. If you're getting sick, you're sick. You've worked yourself into being sick.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. Why are you saying, I'm so sorry? Like, I get it, because you feel so guilty and they make you feel so bad.
But it's the system that's been set up for you to feel that way, but you shouldn't be feeling that way. And along with that, I could be working myself into
oblivion,
right? Into oblivion. So that I can make as much money as possible at this job, right? And then have extra money at the end of the month, or like be able to do whatever cool things. Nice. But I've gotten to a point where I'm like, actually, my mental well-being and just my sanity come before any of that. Like, fuck that. I don't care. I do, but I don't. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? The thing is, like, even if you're, but, like, I get what you're saying, but I'm like, even if you're not working all the hours and you're doing whatever, your mental health still isn't good. I get that. But what I'm saying is,
I'm not saying make it worse by going to work more. I'm just saying it's already bad.
It's already bad.
It's not like you're saying, oh, well, I'm only doing 4 shifts a week because now at least I have a mental break. No, you don't. You're doing 4 shifts a week so that you can just breathe and try to recover to do the next 4.
What I'm saying is also, like, I've seen other people's timetables, right, that work with me or have worked with me. And they're literally they don't have a break ever. And they're not good. But that's the only way they can survive. Like, they have to do that. So I've just also gotten to a point where, like you said, like, fuck the employer. You can hire more people. You can divide the workload. So do that. But also, I'm just, how do I say this? Like, I don't know, dude. I'm not going to feel guilty about taking time off anymore, is what I'm trying to say. Because fuck that. And I'm not going to come in for extra hours and you don't pay me for them. And I'm not going to apologize for shit. Like, I'm just upset at everything.
I'm so upset at, like, the way we're supposed to and expected to do things. I'm just upset with the system. I don't see it being something that can work. And, like, it sounds like, I know that this is, like, dangerous territory to, like, talk about or whatever, but, like, I see why people kill themselves. And people say, like, oh, well, nothing significant happened in their life, so why are they depressed? Like, why are they trying to commit suicide? Blah, blah, blah. Are you not noticing what's happening around you? Like, what is wrong with you that you can say that? Like, I don't understand how thousands of people do this. And then, like, this is me talking from the privileged position of having 2 degrees, of having a house, of having a partner to help, like, all this stuff. I don't get how people do it, like, without all of that stuff, or how people have kids and do this. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. Like, if you have a child in these conditions, I don't understand how you're living. I don't get it.
Me neither, dude.
And I know that's me speaking from a privileged point of view. I get that.
Yeah.
But I can speak from this point of view because that's the one I have. Yeah. I don't see how you're dealing with a kid that's sick and whatever and trying to teach it how to be a human and whatever, and then still just keeping yourself alive. Like, I don't even understand how you're supposed to, like, feed yourself 3 meals a day. And, like, I'm not even talking about the finances of it. I'm just talking about doing the actual stuff. Like, how are you feeding yourself 3 meals a day? Doing your dishes, washing your clothing, like, drying your clothes, exercising, getting out, seeing other people, working, sleeping.
How does that work? Dude, I have a friend that I didn't know had a child. And then one day they revealed it to me and I was like, what?
Wait, what?
And then what they said was, because this was my whole speech. I was like, I don't understand how people do that. And, like, because they had asked me, like, are you going to have a baby anytime soon? And I was like, no.
I don't even know.
Because I can't fathom how my life is going to work. And they were like, well, the thing is, like, with me, when I had my kid, you have to, like, you just make things work.
Yeah.
You make the time. And I was like, but what do you mean you make the time?
But, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I say this all the time, but, like, and people perceive it as a negative thing, and it's fine if you perceive it as a negative thing. Honestly, I don't care. But I'm too selfish to have kids because I can't see myself, like, already just working and surviving and, like, doing this. I feel like my life is taking, like, the backseat. And I don't get how small you have to shrink your identity and hide it away in a little closet if you have a kid. And be fine with that.
What do you mean shrink your identity?
You don't get to be you when you have a kid. You don't get to live a life and do, because your life is your kid. And your life is preparing that person to be an adult and be a person.
I feel like...
And that's important and necessary and it's your responsibility. And I absolutely... Because I take that responsibility seriously enough to say, I don't think I'll be able to do it. I expect of you, if you're going to have the kid, to take that responsibility serious enough to do that. But I don't understand how you do it. Because it's like your personality and who you are becomes like a party hat. Becomes like something that's like in the cupboard and like maybe once a year you have like a night off with your friends and you put your little party hat on and you get to be yourself, and then the hat doesn't even fit right anymore. It doesn't really go with your hairstyle, but you're like, okay, I'll just pretend again for tonight. Like,
But that's the thing. I feel like the minute you have a child, you're not the same person anymore.
You can't be.
You can't be, and you have to accept that, and your personality is going to change. And you are going to grow, if you see it as growth or change, like whatever, that's up to you. But yeah, it's a change. That's what it is, I think.
Yeah, but it's a change. I can't.
I also think, I know a lot of people also say, like, yeah, it's just the first, let's say, 5 to 6 years that are really hectic. But you still have to go through those first 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years is a long time to not be yourself.
I understand that, yes, once they go to school, okay, you have more time, you can do more things, cool, now they're growing, amazing. That doesn't take away the fact that literally just in the first year, you basically don't sleep.
And like, even if they're going to school and whatever, they're still your child. They're still your responsibility.
Yeah.
How they turn out still reflects on, like, it's still yours. It's yours.
Yeah.
Doesn't go away.
No, children is a big time.
And when people say, like, I follow a lot of, like, moms and whatever, and, like, a big conversation that I've seen recently in, like, that community is the loss of identity when you have kids. Especially for people who, like, plan families and have, like, 2 to 3 kids in, like, 4 years or whatever. And, like, how they lose their identities and, like, try to find it again. And I'm like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course you lose your identity. Of course.
But that's the other thing. You can't, like, yes, going along with, you have to obviously be responsible for the child, all that stuff. Cool. But at the same time, I feel you always have to make time for yourself.
How do you do it?
You can't lose yourself.
How? How do you do it?
That's the thing. You need to have a support structure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, then people say, this morning I was listening to someone. I like listening to people who have opposing views that I do, but in specific ways. Like, I'm not trying to have a conversation with you because I'm not going to sit here and be composed. So if it's like a podcast where you have like some crazy view, whatever, I can listen to it and like try to understand your point of view. That doesn't mean I will, but like I can try. And this person said that he believes that Gen Z and specifically leftists in Gen Z are, what did he say? He said something like to the tune of, it's a death march, because we're saying all of this stuff about like being responsible, all this stuff, and basically we're saying like having kids is not responsible and whatever, and like most people don't want to have kids. And then he said something like, and then they'll say being able to have a child is a privilege, but then they don't want to have kids. I'm like, it is, you're in a privileged position if you're able to have a kid. Because I think, okay, if I have to be really realistic and I sit here now and I'm like, okay, let's say the best that I can imagine myself wanting to have a kid, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm Jessica and I want to have a baby. I'm like, the only way that that's going to be logical and reasonable for me is if I have enough money to sustain that kid. I have enough people in my life to help me raise that child. I have like good enough foresight of the future or like hope for the future to think that that kid is going to have one. Like, all of this stuff is privilege.
Yeah.
It's privilege. Like, how else are you going to tell me that you having a whole family that's willing to help you with your kid? Like, if you wake up on a Friday morning and you have something to do and there's nothing else, you can't have anyone else take care of your kid. If you have a mom that's going to do it, or a cousin or aunt or a sister or whoever, that's a privileged position.
That is a privileged position, yeah. Definitely.
So call us the generation of death march or fucking baby killers or whatever you want to. But like, if you don't get that, older generations have been afforded the luxury of being reckless with other people's lives. You don't understand what our generation has to look forward to. You don't understand the reality of what it is like to be a 20-something-year-old looking towards your future and seeing nothing. You don't get it.
And even just from like your first point, right? The financial point of view. Our economy is going to shit. Not just ours, the whole world. The whole world. So
first world countries have debt. Yeah. How?
So already just from the first point of, okay, am I ready to have a baby? Am I in the financial position? I think a lot of people, like,
because it's not just feeding an extra mouth. It's not just like having the space or
it's doctor's bills. It's
planning for their future. It's clothing. It's that child. Like if you realistically want a well-balanced like person that's going to be like a good adult, they're gonna do extracurriculars. Those things cost money.
Yeah. Dude, did you see the TikTok of the girl that had a baby and then she was like purr at the the bill when they like she just gave birth, then they brought her the bill. They were like, here, you must pay. It was $20,000.
Explain to me.
I just had a baby. This is my thing.
My body is ripped apart. I am unwell, and you're like, pay me.
Not just that. My body was built for this, right? Like I can do this in my bathtub at home, right? Like cool. Now I'm here. Now I must pay $20,000.
I cannot do it in my bathtub at home. I can promise you.
No, but I'm saying like
that's the lie. But
what the fuck?
No,
why $20,000?
And now you're living in South Africa. You're paying medical aid, which is ridiculously expensive. Medical aid is
that
so incredibly expensive.
Dude, can I tell you, not just that, our medical aid that we're paying for is expensive.
Then it doesn't cover.
And it doesn't cover shit.
Yeah, it doesn't cover anything.
It's like one doctor visit. Hello?
And then some medical aids have excluded maternity. So if you want to get pregnant or whatever, you have to pay for the maternity clause to be like included in your medical aid.
That's hectic.
Which is like whatever, 2K extra a month. So now you're already paying 2K and then you get to the thing and they're like, okay, now your payment with it is like 50K. No. I haven't even bought a diaper.
Yeah. No, that's insane to me.
And dude, like it's also the other things like, okay, cool. Let's think about working. Like there's expenses that go along with working, right? You need the clothes, you need a car, you need petrol, you need whatever. And then you need makeup because the audacity of a fucking workplace to be like, well, you're not professional. So where's your foundation and your mascara and your lipstick bag?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?
Makeup is not cheap, guys.
Do you know what makeup costs? Babe?
Not just makeup, also clothing, dude.
Clothing is so expensive, yo.
Like when we were still whatever, like living with our parents, they would buy us all our shit. Now we're studying drama. The drama department tells us we need to wear black. Only. So now our whole cupboard is just full of black leggings.
Movement clothes.
Shirts with holes in them because we roll around on the ground. Now
you buy a shirt, you go to class once, it has a hole.
Now we're working at a place where they're like, you need to come dressed professionally.
I have black leggings and a t-shirt that has 3 holes. What do you want me to do?
Now I go to Cotton On because I feel like I'm gonna get something and it's 300 Rand for one t-shirt.
No, babe, 300 Rand for a crop top. What is that? Are you insane? What is wrong? What is wrong with you?
Cotton On makes me upset.
I actually cannot, like, the only Cotton On, when I was a student, Cotton On was, like, cute, the place to be. I have, like, Cotton On clothes. Oh, look. Now I can't go to anything that's not like the big outlet factory store because if I have to look at a bralette one more time and the price tag says 450 Rand, I want to burn it to the fucking ground. No, I'm like, how are you?
A pair of socks, dude.
But how are you so blind to the reality of the people in your country that you're like, yeah, reasonable? When I was in school and a student, I thought like people, like I'm going to say something now. And if I heard it when I was a student or in school, I would have been like, oh, she's just not committed. But there are people in your life that you love and they're the special little moments like the dinner with them or the braai or the whatever. It seems like there's a million opportunities to do these things, but there really isn't. And if you miss it, you miss it and it's over. And so how many of those things are you going to miss because you're doing this thing? And even if this thing is so magical and amazing, how many times is that magic going to make up for missing all of those moments?
Yeah. Yo, dude, especially with family and things like, this is why I was crying on the way to work the other day. Because like, just thinking of my niece and my nephew, right? Like, love them so much.
They're not going to be small forever.
They're not going to be small forever. I think the last thing I want to talk about that you touched on is, I've been thinking about this for so long and I didn't know how to like word it, but I think I know how to now. Is the fallacy of commitment. Like,
yeah,
we've been taught and conditioned to, if you start something, you finish it. You're committed to a project, you finish the project.
We're very conditioned on like commitment, because in our industry, it's literally like, this is a thing that is said regularly. Doesn't matter who dies, you got to get on stage.
Literally, unless you're the one dying,
you go on.
You're here.
And not even is it just said, it happens. It happens. I know a performer whose father died and they finished the show. How?
That's so sad, dude. Yes.
And like when I was studying, I was like, yes, of course they finished. What do you mean? They're supposed to. Commitment.
No, it's
And now I'm like, that is, because the person that was telling me, I know the performer, but they were like telling me like, yo, and then she finished the show, and I'm like, yeah. Like, of course she finished.
What else must she do?
Has to.
Yeah.
And they were saying it also in the same sense. Like, yeah, so she had to finish the show. Like, it is what it is. And now I think about it, I'm like, that person was a horrible human being, because I had the power to say, let's stop the show. This is actually a bit bigger than the 30 Rand everyone paid.
That's ridiculous, dude. And this is what I wanted to say. Like,
sorry, I interrupted.
No. I was thinking back to a time where I was doing a show, and one of the main performers in the show got another gig, right? Her agent booked her for whatever, she did the audition, now she got the show, and it was a huge part in like a movie or something big, right? It was like setting up this person's career. So they took it. They were like,
I'm taking it.
Bye, I need to go. I'm sorry. You have other people that can fill this role. I know the show is only in 2 weeks, but like, what am I going to do?
It's what it is.
At the time, did this person not get the most shade from everyone, dude? Not everyone was talking shit about them. Like, how can you do that? And like, the creative director was telling all of us, don't you ever dare fucking do this to anyone. Like, this is disgusting, whatever. Now looking back,
I would have done exactly the
I'm
same
like,
thing.
Good for you that you had the power to do that. Because there's been times where I have been in situations where I'm already committed to something else comes up, and I'm like,
you give up that opportunity.
I give up the opportunity, and I tell the people that I'm in this thing with, like, listen, I got this huge thing, but I said no because I'm committed. To do this. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, they're not even like, thank you. They're like, care. Yeah, they're like, you're supposed to do that.
Can I tell you what happened after this, right? So now I said no to this other thing that was going to be a huge thing. And then I told this person, they were like, okay, cool, whatever. The next week, after the whole thing finished, they were like, so what was that thing that you were telling me about? So now I tell them what it was. And they go, oh,
you should have done that.
You should have gone. We would have made a plan for you. I'm like, don't fucking talk shit to me. You're just doing this now to be fake.
Yeah, you are.
Honestly. So if you're ever in a position where something better comes up, take the fucking opportunity.
Take the better thing. Take the better thing, even if people talk shit about you, even if your employer is upset, even if you have to look in the face of somebody who's like, how dare you? The audacity. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. But thank you for listening to 2 weeks of rants, if you've gotten this far. But honestly, I hope that you understand. And if you don't, if you're sitting there going, oh, people are being so negative and they're just not committed, I hope that in 2 years' time, you're like, oh, actually, maybe not. Or actually, I hope you don't. I hope
that's
you make
what I was going to say. I hope you make it and you
never get this perspective and you never get to understand how we feel and you don't ever feel this way. I hope that for you.
Yes.
And if you are in this position, I'm so sorry. Namaste.
Namaste.